Okay, so we're getting ready for a test on functions and moving and stretching and flipping and all that kind of stuff and graphing them. So there's a lot to know for this test. We're going to do a lot of problems this hour, and then I hope that you will go home and do some more problems. What's assigned for tonight is a Schoology quiz that's due tomorrow. And I know Schoology quizzes aren't always the best, but at least it does grade it for you. And the way I set it, it will also tell you what the right answers were. So you'll know not only whether you were right or wrong instantly, you'll also know what the right answers were. Okay, so that'll be a good thing for you to do for practice for tonight. But please don't work on that in class right now, because I know what's important and I'm going to go through all of it with you. So let's talk about the order. Do you remember me saying we first should do the stuff on the outside? Even though technically you could do the stuff on the inside? All right, I start with the outside. So then, what's outside? I get how some people, look at that. It looks like it's almost in there with the X, but no, that negative is on the outside. If I write it this way, you might even see it better because the X has imaginary parentheses around it. That, I think most people would make it obvious to them that the negative is on the outside. Okay, so if that's got to be first, what is that anyway? Well, there's vertical and horizontal. Don't forget that it's HIVO. Horizontal on inside, vertical on outside. So there's two vertical things. And now this was a vertical, what? A little class participation would be good. Vertical what? Reflection, good. And I've encouraged you to say what axis it's over. Because sometimes they're going to give you what you have to do. Like, they're going to say it's a reflection over the Y. And you got to know which one that is. So I made up some dumb words for you. Vertical is zertical, so it's over X. Okay. And then there's the other thing on the outside is the 5, and that's up 5. You don't have to get all complicated and say it's a vertical up 5. I mean, there's only one up. All right, so up 5 is just fine. Now, it wasn't ones like this that were different on the test, or on the practice test that you did yesterday. It was the complicated ones where there was stuff inside. That's where the way that the teacher showed it was different than the way I showed you. So let's do one of those complicated ones. Let's say we had negative parentheses 3 parentheses x plus 5 parentheses squared minus 8. And my question is, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things happening here. What are the 4 things, and in what order should we do them? And please, even though it's legal to start on the inside, please start on the outside. Yes?
Vertical reflection of X.
You are correct. Vertical reflect, and I think you said over X. And if you got a good memorizer, then go ahead and just memorize that. But if you don't, try to go with something like this. Well, I know it's vertical, so it must be like this. What axis am I going over? Oh, I'm going over the x-axis. That'd be a way to do it. Option B, remember the dumb word. Vertical, zertical, it starts with an X. There we go. Okay, how about the 8? What do you say, ma'am?
Down 8.
You are correct. Down 8. Now we move to the inside, and I may have told you this, and if I didn't, I should have. As soon as you move to the inside, the first thing you write, that's the one that's likely to trip you up. Because everybody can do the stuff on the outside because it's all easy. It's what you expect. It's intuitive. But when you move to the inside, watch out. Because do you get some people move to the inside and right away go, oh, there's parentheses. I should do that first. It's the opposite of normal. So you do this first. Because there's parentheses, I'm forced to do the other thing first. Which is that 3. Which is not a 3, really. That's a 1/3. And therefore, this is a, what kind of shrink? Horizontal shrink. And you might say, shrink? I thought it was a stretch. It's so easy to mess these up. Horizontal shrink, BFO by a factor of not 3, 1/3. And then last but not least is the plus 5, which is left 5. Yes?
So, to tell between a shrink and a stretch on the inside
Yep.
parentheses,
Start with what it seems like and do the opposite. Doesn't that
Okay.
seem like it's a stretch?
Yeah.
Because it's a 3. So then you just switch it and go, oh, it's got to be shrink then.
If 3 was outside the parentheses, would it be
If it was
vertical?
if it was outside, it would be a vertical thing, yes. All right, let's do one more like this. Question?
Outside all of the parentheses.
Yeah, I'll show you one like that. That's a parabola. It's had 1, 2, 3, 4 things happen to it. It's been really changed in order what happened. And the ones in the test usually aren't this hard. I'm hitting you with the ones that have like 4 steps. A lot of times in the test there's only 2 or 3. And I'm just trying to say, these are at the hardest level that we have. There's plenty of easy questions, and I'm not worried about you getting those right. You'll probably get those right. So first, on the outside, you got 2 things. And some people were asking, like, what's on the inside, what's on the outside? Those would be on the outside. That 2, that's considered inside. If it's inside of any parentheses, it's on the inside. All right, so that 5, it's a stretch, vertical stretch by a factor of 5. Then I got to reflect, vertical reflect. And by the way, you can reverse these 2. I always just suggest stretching before the reflections. Vertical reflect over, vertical is vertical, so X. And then the 3. Step 3 is you go to the inside. And I've warned you, this is the danger moment. There's parentheses. Don't do those first. You do that first. And therefore, we're going to do a horizontal. Seems like stretch, so it's actually shrink. Seems like it should be a 2, but by a factor of what? 1.5. Okay, good. And then last but not least is the left 5. All right, I'm going to do one that I know a lot of people are going to get wrong, so just deal with it. Let's make that an 8. Think through carefully. So let's see. On this one, I'm thinking a lot of people started on the outside like they're supposed to and knew the beginning number, and they'll get that right, but then they're going to screw up on step 2. It's a vertical stretch factor by factor of 4. No news there. How about 2? Here's what people think. They go inside and go, okay, I got to be really careful here. And I know we always do this multiply number in front first because that's what we did all the other times. All the other times there was parentheses. So we got to think about the order of operations. Doesn't multiply come before subtract? Yeah, multiply normally comes before subtract. So since we're on the inside, you should do the subtract first. I'm going to say that one more time. Do you get multiply in the normal order of operations comes before subtract? So this would normally be first. And is it normal? No. We have to do the opposite of normal, so that has to be first. All right, so that's right 8. And number 3 is that 1/3. Now, I know some of you put this on step 2, but at least check this part. Did you notice that it was actually a horizontal stretch of a factor by a factor of 3? All right. How many of you, to be honest, how many of you did I catch on the whole, you got 2 and 3 reversed? All right, that's half, no, 3/4 of the class. Don't feel bad. but watch for it. Okay, any questions on that little trick question, so to speak? It's not a trick question. It's just different than the other one. So how do you do it again? You look for what's normal, and multiply comes before subtract. So you do the thing that isn't normal. You do subtract first. All right, enough about order. What is most of the test? Most of the test is a graphing test. So if there was more of anything, it would be the graphing. So let's say I gave you this one. 1/2 square root of x and then minus 3. I want you to sketch where you ballpark think that is, and then make an XY chart to get some points to verify where it for sure is. Okay, so sketch it first. This is a great way to keep from messing up. Sketch it first and then double check it with the points. All I'm going to ask you for is 3 right now. On the test, you'd try to get 5 unless 5 won't fit on the graph. Okay, one of my colleagues was saying she was working with a higher algebra kid this morning who had come in to ask her a question. And she said she didn't even know what a square root looked like. Okay, well, you have to know basically what a square root looks like. Otherwise, how are you supposed to do this problem? You can actually get away with it from the XY chart, but please know the 5, probably even 6 if you include another common one, the 6 functions, one of which is square root. We're going to go through the rest of them in a second here, but I hope you know that this one is half as vertically tall. So then it's like that. And then it's all been moved, what's that? Down 3. So my final answer is this green one. It basically looks something like that. And then I got to verify it. So I put in some points. Just any points? Well, kind of. You just want to be smart. Do you really want to do the square root of 2? I don't. So I'm going to pick 4. Because I can do the square root of 4 really easy, and that's 2. Half of 2 is 1. 1 minus 3. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So 4 comma negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 comma negative 2. Looks like it's working. It's right where I expected it to be. If you stopped right there, though, I mark it wrong because you have to have a minimum of 5 on a test. 3 right now. So I'm going to put in another one. I'm going to put in 1. Half of 1, or sorry, square root of 1 is 1. Half of that is 1/2. And what is 1/2 minus 3? It's negative 2.5. Seems like it's kind of working. It's just a little lower than this one, which was at 2. All right. You're right. Let's put in 9.
But we can't do 5.
So 1. Square root of 9 is 4. Half of 4 is 2. No, wait. Square root of 9 is 3. Half of 3 is 1.5. And what's 1.5 minus 3? That'll be my final answer. Negative 1.5. 9 comma negative 1.5. Well, they're all lining up in the right spot. And yeah, I can only get 4 if I even try on this one. And I was only off a tiny bit. The only other one is a good one is 0. And 0, negative 3 would have been a good choice. Okay. There's more of that than anything. Questions? Yes?
For the test,
Yep.
do you need to put in 4 points for?
If you have to put in 5 is the way I'm going to say it, unless 5 don't fit. In this case, 5 don't fit, so I can get that one, that one, that one, and this one probably would have been on the graph. We're not going to be mean and make you go off the graph and graph things. If it won't fit on the axes, you can stop, but you have to have a minimum of 5 unless they don't fit. So in this case, you probably would have got 4. Yes?
Do we still have to have it on the XY chart if it doesn't fit?
No, you don't have to list them if they're not going to graph them. So if they fit on the graph, then you should put them on the graph and put them on the chart. All right. So what else do you have to know? Quite a few things. Let's go next to functions that you don't know. Maybe you know all of them. I hope you do. X squared. You know that one? I'm going to draw a picture. You tell me what it is. Don't say it. Write it. The V shape. Next. How about this one? I call it the snake shape. Next. This one that we were just doing a second ago, kind of like a ramp. Those four are the mainstays that you use all the time. And then there's a couple others. So let's go through these. Did you get absolute value for that one? Okay, and then I hope you got x to the third for that one. And I hope you got square root of x for that one. Raise your hand if you're perfect so far. Nice, then there's two more of the challenge ones. Okay. Anybody remember what that one is? Goes through that spot, and then it gets closer and closer to the asymptotes but never touches them. The asymptotes are like little dotted lines that run down here. Dotted lines that run across there. Remember that function? I call it the butterfly. You got it?
Isn't it?
It is 1 over x. How many of you had that? All right, that's about half of you. The rest of you need to know that one. Okay, and then the last one. Super simple function, but a lot of people don't know it. It's a straight line. What the heck? What function is that? Well, I'll give you a hint. 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, negative 1, negative 1, negative 2, negative 2. Y equals, think about it. Y equals x, that's right. Okay. Next up, what if I draw you a picture of a function you have never seen before? Like that function. She talked to me, she has to leave early, so don't be thinking it's time to go. She's just has to go early. Have a good day. So how do I name this thing if I don't know what it is? Yes? You just call it f of x. Very good. What if I say I want to take f of x and I want to move it up 1, right 3, and I want it to have a vertical stretch of 5? Would you write it with the f in it, because it's an unknown function? Write the equation for that. I'll give you an example one that's not right. That's not the right answer, but something kind of like that with an f in it. And this was a V stretch. Yes, that means a vertical stretch. All right, the right 3 part, that's a minus 3 on the inside. Vertical stretch of 5. Watch where I put the 5 in front of the f. And then last but not least, an up 1. I'll do that in green, and it'll be a plus 1 at the end. Now, some people get this, like, I totally get why they get this wrong, but if we put a plus 1 in front, some people feel like that makes the number in the front 6. Do you get what they're thinking? That's not right, though. Do you get that's the same exact thing as if I had said plus 1 at the end? Okay, so that's how you should treat it. Yes?
Would you get it wrong if you did F5 and then the equation?
Yes, you do not want to have the 5 in here. Don't do that. There's never anything between the F and the parentheses. Never, never. If you want to go on the outside, you put it in front of the F. Put it there. Now, if it was a complicated problem with like 5 parts and that was the only thing you did wrong, I'd have to take off something, though. I'd have to take off at minimum 5%. So, all right. So what if my new function is a lot like this other one, but it's been moved and it goes like this. And it appears to be moved straight up from where it was originally. And the correct question is, how far up is it, Mr. Server? And I'll tell you, it's up 7. Then what's the function now? The black one. And I get when people go like this. You moved it up 7, Mr. Server, so it's x plus 7. Nope. You need the f in there. And you need to know where the parentheses go. Is it just f x plus 7? Is it f of x plus 7 and all of it's in parentheses? No. It's f of x plus 7. That's the correct answer for this black one. Okay. Next up, I'm going to give you a function. And I want you to figure out what its equation is. This is a V shape, but it's very narrow. I'm going to give you a hint on how narrow is it. If I go over 1 and down 1, there's no dot right there. So I know it's definitely been stretched somehow. Next, I'm going to tell you that point right there is at negative 3, 0. Now you should be able to say, oh yeah, it's a square root function. And no, it's not a square root function, but you should be able to tell me what this function is. Kind of like this, except this is not right. Could you say f of x? Sure. Y and f of x are synonymous. But Mr. Server, you just said a second ago that you use the f when you don't know what the function is. Yes. On the right side of this, f of x equals, that's like saying y equals, right? I'm not going to use an f because I know this is the absolute value function. And I know it's been moved to the left 3. And I also know that it's been stretched, and it looks to me like it's been vertically stretched. And how much vertical stretch? I think it was a stretch factor of 3, but I also get I was vague about that. So if you'd have said a 2 or a 3 here, I'd have had to take it. Raise your hand if you had that one right.
Didn't it also get flipped?
Oh, hello. Yes, it definitely got flipped. Sorry. And which way of a flip? Is it a vertical or a horizontal flip? Vertical. Up, down is vertical. And so I needed a negative on the outside. Thank you for catching that. Negative 3 in front of the absolute value. Good catch. Okay, next up is circles. Circles? Yep, we talked about them. Only for like a day, but this test covers everything. So, what's the simplest of all circles that has a radius of 1 and a center at 0, 0? It's x squared. Who can tell me what's next? Plus y squared equals, in this case, what is the radius? 1 squared. That's correct. Now, you're in honors pre-calc. Sorry, you're in honors higher algebra. You will be in honors pre-calc next year probably. So we're not going to make it that easy. But let's say we went over 5 and up 2 and add a new center right there. Add 5, 2. And then we have a pretty big one, but you can tell how big by what I'm going to make it touch. Can you tell what I just made the radius? Think about it. How far over is that? 12-minute warning. When you have 2 phones, it's like stereo. Two years ago, I went through the same dilemma.